This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Let's face it, sometimes multitasking can be overwhelming, like when your favorite podcast is playing and the person next to you is talking and your car fan is blasting, all while you're trying to find the perfect parking spot. But then again, sometimes multitasking is easy, like quoting with Progressive Insurance. They do the hard work of comparing rates so you can find a great rate that works for you, even if it's not with them. Give their nifty comparison tool a try, and you might just find getting the rate and coverage you need is easy. All you need to do is visit Progressive's website to get a quote with all the coverages you want, like comprehensive and collision coverage or personal injury protection. Then you'll see Progressive's direct rate, and their tool will provide options from other companies all lined up and ready to compare, so it's simple to choose the rate and coverages you like. Press play on comparing auto rates. Quote at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
My God, Eli Manning is benched. Who cares? Welcome to the Think Different podcast. That's right. It is another week of our voices. I have to say, this is absolutely the worst podcast to listen for your Apple stuff, but it is definitely the most entertaining. We want to thank you for joining us every single week here for the Think Different podcast. And for those of you who don't know, we are Apple geniuses. We worked at an Apple store, and we are giving you the news and the details of being in an Apple store. But first, let's get started with the plugs. Please go to Twitter and check us out at ThinkDiffPod. Also, you can check us out on Facebook, the Think Different podcast. And we are on every single podcast platform in the world, so you cannot miss us. But before we get going, we have to introduce myself. I am Will, the TLD, Vafidas, and then that other guy that we have here as well. I think his name is, let's see what his name is.
I'm here in the corner. My name is Tim. Don't have a nickname.
No, it's Vacation
Santoro.
Tim. It's Vacation Tim.
Vacation Tim.
In fact, legally, when he gets married, he will change his last name to Vacation.
I don't know how my future wife would feel about that, but...
Well, don't worry. She doesn't listen to the podcast anyway. Tim, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. It's lovely. It was a good week this week, good weekend. Doing good.
All right, that was a rhetorical question. We really just don't care how Tim's week was, everybody. So, we had a busy week. We had a big announcement that happened last week, and now it's a week of product launches, and that's one of the main things we're going to talk about today is what to do. If you go to an Apple store on the day of a launch, how to get around that. We are going to give you the tips, the tricks, and maybe some old habits that happened in the past to talk about some great stories that we have from previous product launches. But it is time to talk about Tim's favorite segment that he doesn't prepare for. It is time for the news.
The news.
Breaking news.
All right, so what we got? We got subscription movie ticket service. MoviePass is officially shutting down. Yes, folks. As of September 14th, 2019, MoviePass released a press release that they will be shutting down the service and all subscribers will not be able to use it after that date. I never understood how this model was ever going to work.
It's like, how do they make money?
They didn't. That's what
Right.
they found out. It was basically a venture capitalist kind of business. A bunch of people put money into it, thought it would hit, and once they ran out of funds, went bankrupt, and they filed for bankruptcy in mid-2018 because they ran out of money. They were losing up to $40 million per month. They were losing up to. And so they actually even tried changing people's passwords so they couldn't log in just so they didn't use the service. And as they're retaining customers, as their customers dropped, it went from 3 million subscribers from 1 year to 225K the next year. So they are finally over. It was a ridiculous service. It started in 2017 where you could see unlimited movies per month for $9.99 subscription. Like, that's just ridiculous.
Think about it. They were making $30 million a month on this subscription, but because of how much ticket prices are, there's no way the ticket companies are like, oh yeah, we'll give you a ticket price for $5.
Yeah.
You know? So now I will tell you, for us as a customer, that was like the best thing ever. You have to admit, if you MoviePass was like, wow, why would you not join that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, anything, we won. You know, but now the companies are out of business. But if you think about it, they revolutionized movie tickets now, because now you could do monthly passes everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, it almost forced AMC to
and
go into their, subscription
everybody.
services
It
like
forced
that.
everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Regal does that like as well, even though Regal's not a prime area around here. But yeah, absolutely. So MoviePass, a tremendous idea, horrible business plan. Very shady practices, raising prices, lowering prices, shutting them down, limiting movie access. It just was like crazy.
And don't forget about the hack.
The hack. Think about it. This is probably the fastest company that's risen and died.
Yep. New iOS 13 Find My app helps Redditor recover iPad lost to airport. So basically, if you guys haven't heard of it, in the new iOS 13, there's a new app called Find My. It's not new. It's more or less just a readapted version of the Find My iPhone application. And what it does is it actually uses Bluetooth connectivity on different devices and can actually notify those devices that a missing object is found and can be tracked via that way. So for this instance, this gentleman lost his iPad in the LAX airport, and he was able to find it through this because he miraculously had iOS 13 beta on it, and he was able to locate his iPad using the new Find My app. The caveat of this, Bluetooth has to be turned on on the devices in order to find the other device. And a lot of users, I mean, I always have my Bluetooth on because I use the Apple Watch, so I always have to have that on. But most users do have Bluetooth disabled because it, quote unquote, preserves battery life.
Yeah, so this is a tremendous feature. This is why I think the tile idea is not going to happen. And even if it did, it's almost worthless because everybody has an iPhone. This will work for the iPod Touch. This will work for the Apple Watch. I think the AirPods might even be a part of that. There's all these different devices.
AirPods, yep.
All these different devices that we own could just bounce off other people's Bluetooth to find it, because cellular was the only way you could find it. And I thought it was a good story to read because of what is coming. And actually, if you're listening to us now, this is already going to be released.
Now, Will, can you explain this? Is it going to notify other people's devices that there is a missing object within the vicinity, or is it going to notify the user that these devices have seen your device in this location?
My guessing is they're not able to. They're just basically grabbing a signal from another device, and they're not taking data or anything from that person's device. It's just a signal, almost like a router. They're kind of acting like routers, in a way. It sounds weird. I cannot wait to lose something and find it.
Almost like Tesla, right? Yeah.
Right.
Because you don't have to. What's that saint that you call on when you lose something? Saint Anthony, right? No.
Next article.
iOS 13, the 5 best features and how they work. Will and I will go back and forth with this. The first best feature that they list here is stop unknown callers. So now, you all know how many spam calls that you get. I get them so many times a day because I use my phone for work sometimes. And now iOS 13 can actually turn that off. So you can actually go into your settings, phone, and toggle to silence unknown callers. When this is turned on, it will only block callers who aren't in your contacts or found in your email, which is a great feature. I wonder how they're going to source that if you don't have your email logged into your mail app on Apple. If you have it, like I use a Gmail application on mine.
That's a good point. That's actually a pretty good point.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to source third-party applications and not the native apps.
I'd be surprised, but
I'd be surprised as well.
I mean, I guess the only way to do that is try it out, folks. A feature I'm going to be looking forward to is Quick Path. So remember, Quick Path, place your finger on your keyboard and you swipe from letter to letter. So Google's been doing this for years, where you can basically create a word just swiping on the keyboard. And now that's coming out as a default feature. There was a lot of third-party apps that did it, but now it's going to be built right in. And I used a beta on my work phone, it's great. The thing is, I lived without it for so long. I got to remember that it's actually there.
Yeah, of course. It's good to remember, Will, that it's automatically defaulted on.
Yep.
So you do have to go in and turn it off if you don't want it.
That'd be stupid if you do, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, new updates to the control center. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are now in the control center. So you'll be able to long press on the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth buttons to view and connect to available networks or
Thank
devices
God.
without having to open a settings.
Thank
That makes
God.
it so
It's
easy,
so easy.
to connect devices
Why
or to
don't-
find
Isn't
different
it
networks.
amazing that it took to iOS 13 to get that feature in there? Like
Yeah,
right now,
right.
when I do the control center feature, what can I do in there? Like I try to find something other than turn on, turn off. I'm like, I can't find anything else I would do with it. This is a simple thing that I'm glad they're adding. So dark mode, obviously one of the most important features that people for some reason want. All you gotta do is go in the control center inside of your brightness, and you'll be able to turn on the dark mode button. So I've been using that again on the iOS 13 and trying it out. Most situations, I like it. I really think it's gonna be great. It's not a game changer. This has been around in phones for like 3 years now. Apple's just finally catching up to it. I have dark mode on my Mac. I use dark mode all the time on my Mac. I actually prefer the darker screen, better for my eyes.
Yeah, I have dark mode on my Apple TV, and I really like it.
Yeah, so dark mode is great. I think it doesn't say it's his battery life, but it might. I'm not sure. But honestly, the brightness of the screen going dark is just much better. And now I'm glad I don't have to tell people about that stupid feature where they could go in accessibility and change like the the color crayons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was like the workaround to get around it.
And then the last and final one
Just talked about
is
it.
we've already talked about it, which is Find My App.
Yes, that's
It's
gonna
you know
be
we've
great.
already it's going to be awesome, and we already hit that in the nose with describing it. Just again, you do have to have Find My iPhone enabled in order to use the Find My App.
And this will work for also family sharing. So please keep in mind that, remember, the Found My Friends app will be eliminated, and anybody on your family sharing or that you allow access to in the Find My app, you'll be able to track other. So if, for instance, even though my mother doesn't live here and I'm not under Find My Friends, you can add them in there.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so that's always been around. So remember, you want to add everybody in there, because if there's a situation where, like my sister, like if my mom doesn't know how to use the Find My app, so when my sister lost her phone in a casino, they called me and I had to log into her account, because back then you couldn't do that. You didn't have family sharing back then.
Right.
Hopefully you never have to use it, but when it's there, it's the best thing, especially when people came to the Apple store and always told us, "Oh, I left my phone somewhere in the mall."
Yeah.
Well, we could teach them. We're probably going to teach them. Hey, you can log into iCloud, go to Find My app, and then you could probably track it. Now, remember, the update is coming out. Oh, actually, it already came out on Thursday. Now, I'm going to prepare you. Do not download this the same day everybody else does.
I thought it comes out the 19th.
It is. Today is the 20th when this is released, Tim.
Oh.
Kayfabe, we are recording
Wow,
on
I
a
don't
different
even know
date
what
than
day
the
it
date
is.
we're actually releasing it.
Oh, so let's just redo that.
No, it's funny. We're keeping it in. Remember, if you want to go to the update, if you're going to do that, please, for God's sakes, back up your stuff before you do it.
I don't wanna.
Yeah, all right, fine. You don't want to pay $1 a month for your backup. That's fine. Now, from the rumors that are coming out with iOS 13, that it could be buggy. There is like a huge rumors going around that this version of iOS 13 is not going to include every feature that's coming out.
Yeah. They said the big features weren't coming until September 30th.
That's why I'm worried about doing this update, because why are they even releasing it if none of the big updates are going to be there?
Just wait till September 30th, right?
Okay, no problem.
All right, and the last article we want to share is NBC's streaming service is called Peacock and will exclusively house The Office and Parks and Rec. They claim that Peacock is a reference to their company's logo, which makes sense. And so they're going to exclusively host The Office and Parks and Rec, which, if you've heard, Parks and Rec and The Office are leaving the other streaming services by the end of 2020, which is when this streaming service will be released. So it'll also include other shows like SNL, Cheers, 30 Rock, Frasier, all those like old kind of stars, Will and Grace, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Parenthood, which is a great time favorite. It's going to include original shows like This article says it's a reboot of Battlestar Galactica from the creator of Mr. Robot. I'm a big Mr. Robot fan. It is not a reboot. It is a story within the Battlestar Galactica universe, not a reboot. A Saved by the Bell revival.
Oh, that's crazy that they're doing a Saved by the Bell revival. And I don't think they're going to have any of the original staff. I think it's just going to be a whole new...
I think it's going to be a whole new cast. Yeah, they mentioned it's going to be a whole new cast. A Punky Brewster revival, who I'm not sure what that is. A spin-off of The Real Housewives. And a new comedy from the creator of The Good Place, which is ending this fall.
The show, I was going to tell you, the show lineup coming up, like some of the old stuff that they have, like Frasier was a big thing, Cheers is currently on Netflix. Brooklyn Nine-Nine was a big hit for them, but they're very late to the game. They're very, very late to the game. So is
Apple.
Well, here's the thing with Apple doesn't have a library of content. They're just making all originals.
That's true. That's true.
For content that's like Fox is now all with Disney, so they have their app, which they give you everything for free anyway. I think pretty much we all know that Disney's going to take over that. This is a stupid name.
Well, the Peacock. I agree. And then
I'm subscribing Peacock will be supported by ads.
Oh yeah. Peacock will be supported by ads, very similar to the Hulu model, but the crazy caveat of this is Peacock will be free as long as you subscribe to a cable package. The kind of comparison for NBC, the rival to NBC is CBS, and their CBS All Access streaming service, which you still have to pay for even though you still subscribe to a cable package.
Yeah,
you get for free.
I don't know anybody that does that All Access. I don't know anybody.
It's not worth it.
It's like the old people channel. I don't even know like who in the hell who's listening subscribes to that channel. And honestly, NBC already has their app now, so they're just renaming it and they're just doing it for free. It's the same thing. There's nothing different. Maybe they're adding a lot of the old content on there and stopping it from going to other channels, but that's it. The reason why I put this in here is that everyone's doing this now. There's really no one else that can't possibly come out with a network like this. And to be honest, this is silly.
It almost feels like it has to happen though, because it's just like, okay, we got to do it.
They're doing it now. The only thing they're doing is they're just taking stuff that they're giving to other people and they're just now putting it on their channel. They're just taking it away from them. That's all they're doing. Yep. So now that we're all done with the news, it's now time to get to the main segment, and that is product launches.
I was told by AppleCare that I could walk in the store and get the part.
All right, everybody, we are now back for product launch. So this is all about prepping yourself. If you're going to an Apple store the day of or even the weekend of, and you're going to go there and you want to get your new iPhone, your new Apple Watch, how do you prepare for that? And how does the store work? Because the store is different on that day than any other day throughout the rest of the year. So it's important to know how this works. So let's talk about backup, Tim. The most important thing to do. Is there any point of going to an Apple store, picking up your product, if you don't have a backup?
No.
All right. So please make sure that you back up your stuff, whether it's iTunes or it's iCloud. It doesn't matter. Now, the best way to get your iPhone is ordering on the Apple Store app. Do you remember why, Tim?
Oh, I know why. Because the live stock is captured on the app versus the website.
Sure. We'll go with that. The other main reason why was it pre-qualifies you for it. So remember how many people came into the store? Oh, I have a Verizon account. Oh, I don't know my PIN.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The point I'm trying to make with that is with the PIN number. Some companies require a PIN number. Like I know, like Sprint's a big carrier of that, and so is Verizon. AT&T and T-Mobile not so much. It's important to order it on the Apple Store app because, again, stock levels is actually a good one, too. I didn't even think of that, but I was thinking more along the lines of pre-qualifying. Do you owe money on this or not? You learn about that prior to even going into the store. So that's why I like the Apple Store app. What it did is that's a big feature to stop the lines because a lot of people would just show up. You'd have to know that stuff, but there was a lot of ways where Apple didn't educate you to know that. This app tells you to know that. Like this app knows your number. This app knows what your plan is and what you have and what you owe on it.
Right.
Like right now, when I do the iPhone upgrade program, that's what I'm on now. It tells me I owe like another $112 before I can upgrade. You can pay the whole thing now, or you can wait till October, and that's what I'm going to do.
Nice. And then just to caveat what Will said, the billing account password is not your password to get into your account. Sometimes it could be the same, but sometimes, or most of the time, they're actually different. So it's actually whenever you call their customer service line and they ask for, what is your billing account passcode? And it's usually like a series of four to 6 digits. That's at least for Verizon and Sprint. I can't speak for AT&T or T-Mobile. So it is different than your billing account password that you would use to log in on like VerizonWireless.com or SprintMobile.com.
Honestly, AT&T was probably the easiest carrier that we worked with to get the approval done because it really didn't ask for much. And also, have your photo ID. You have to have that.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
that should be a
stupid little
given.
thing.
Yeah.
That should be a given. If you're going to buy an iPhone for somebody else, don't do that. It doesn't work. Apple is better now. You don't have to activate it right when you get it, which is great. But that used to be a thing back in the day. It's honestly easier for me that you buy an Apple Store gift card and the amount that it costs and buy a case with it, and then that'd be like the gift. That way they can go in, do everything they want to do, restore from the backup, still have the experience of setup. To me, that's the best thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, actually.
Thank you.
But, again, remember, if you decide to do carrier financing, you can't use the gift card to do that.
Right. Tim, what was your first launch that you recall?
iPhone 7.
Okay. So I have been around since, obviously, everyone knows I'm old. I've been around since the first iPhone. Let me explain how it worked with the iPhone 3G. We closed the store for 3 hours. So this is back on a Friday. We closed at 3 p.m. We would black off or curtain off the store. We would take everything down and start putting up the iPhone. So the first time that we saw the iPhone was 3 hours before we put it out. And of course, we're setting it up in the back and everything. But that's what used to be the setup back in the day. Yeah, is that crazy? That they would actually close the Apple Store? Who would think that would ever happen?
And then you just have inventory laying out there too?
Yeah, so we used to do that now too. We used to leave the iPhones in the back of the Genius Bar. You were giving like this piece of paper, or you tell them what they want. You go grab that phone if it's in stock and give it there. It was a lot different than it is now. We actually now have stock levels. We actually bring the product to you instead of going to the bar. It was really different back then. So you can understand why people in queue lines, when they're waiting 3 to 4 hours for an iPhone, that sometimes when it didn't go right, it was frustrating.
Of course, yeah.
But it was like the thrill of it was like the awesome part, though.
Yeah, I mean, and it's almost becomes like a thing that becomes part of like the culture of being part of this whole environment of being an Apple customer. Waiting outside for 3 hours or longer. Sometimes people used to camp out outside the Apple stores to wait for these phones, and getting that first access to seeing that phone for the first time, before anyone else. It used to be such a huge thing. Nowadays, it's not. But it used to be such a big thing. I mean, it used to be such a big thing with a lot of things. Like, I remember when I was a kid waiting outside of GameStop for 2K games in Madden to get it at midnight. That used to be a huge thing. But now it's just, unfortunately, it's so easy to get stuff now. So it takes the fun out of it.
Now, I will tell you that on the 20th of our launch, which is obviously today, they are doing special hours at the store. So I already looked at our old store. They are opening up at 8 a.m. So most Apple stores are going to be opening earlier than normal. Most of them are 10, 9 o'clock, depending on where you live. So they are going to have special hours for opening, as they always do. So make sure that if you want to get there early, you can get there earlier than you want. So people go to work at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You get to the Apple Store early, get it done right out of the way, and go. Knowing how the lines have been, it has been a lot lighter, than it was. I could tell you last year, I was kind of controlling the line last year, knowing who was a pre-order, who was waiting. Now, typically what they do is that they will have someone out there with an iPad, usually asking you, what do you want? Because they're not going to have all the stock levels. Everyone's going to want that midnight green.
Of course.
Okay. So you choose what you want. It guarantees you a hold of it for a period of time. So you do not have to wait there. You can just go to the store, tell them what you want, and they'll hold it for you.
Do you know how long the wait period is?
From what I remember correctly, that there was a time frame you would choose to come back.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So that's how they did it last year. So if someone had to go to work and let's say, okay, I could be back here around 5 to 6 p.m. Okay, we'll give it to you. Let's say someone arrived at 8. We set up a time, but the times told me that there was like nothing available. We would just set it to like 9 o'clock and let them go in anyway. You know, so the goal is...
Oh, I remember that. Right.
Yeah, so the goal is that when you go to an Apple store, there's going to be tons of people outside that store. Do not walk into that store. Look around for people. Look for the lines. You know, they're going to set you up in the right spot, and then you are going to tell them what you want. If they'll tell you if they have it in stock or they don't. And for God's sakes, do not change your mind in the middle of your thing. Or if you are, tell somebody. You know, because you may not have what you're looking for. And a lot of people will go to the Apple store. Oh, they don't have the midnight green. Oh, I'll buy the black. Then I'll just return it and get the midnight green when it's out.
Yeah.
That happens all the time.
Yeah, it does.
That's just sad. You're going to put a case on it anyway.
You can. Exactly, right.
Don't buy a model because... Now, the good thing about the watch was also the biggest pain because there were so many different bands and sizes. Now with this new studio, I'm hoping that wipes that out.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know how it's going to work with the app. I know that last year it was just very hard, confusing, and I can tell you even myself, I mistakenly would hold the wrong one for somebody, you know, just because I'm not getting the right one. It's got to be the 44 millimeter. So you want the 44 millimeter. Do you want a sport band? Do you want this band? Do you want the cellular, Wi-Fi? There was so many, like the way Apple did it to break it down was very hard for me.
Yeah.
Like they would just show the watches and cellular and all that. They should just say, do you want 42, 44? Okay, I want 44. Do you want Wi-Fi? Do you want GPS or cellular? You choose
kind of like the
one.
website.
And then the list shows up of what's available.
Yeah.
Instead of just having it all up there. It was really annoying last year. I actually have feedback about that too.
Nice.
But one thing I will tell you about Angela when it comes to this, she got rid of the Q line.
Oh, really?
Well, think about it. When she came into the company, I remember I came to our store for iPhone 6. Mm-hmm. And then it was around 6S when they came out with that new system where they were going to give you like a piece of paper, and then that's when you go pick it up. And then we came out with the newer system where it was like a text message system.
Yeah.
So we gradually got to the point now where when you show up to the store, it's a very easy process now.
So it's almost got better then, right?
It is, and then, of course, you have to prepare for your resellers. Finally, get to talk about this. There is a lot of resellers, and you will know who they are when you see them. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, and they come with fury.
Cash.
And cash,
cash.
A lot of cash.
A lot of cash. So, but the biggest thing with them is that they take the iPhones that people want. But the good thing this year is that they're going to be selling unlocked and SIM-free ones right out of the gate. So I think that'll eliminate the possibility of someone not getting one.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right about that.
Thanks, Tim. Thank you for the reassurance.
Because but like the resellers are mostly looking for those unlocked models, right? So
people got mad at them. I remember the iPhone 6 when there was that video in New York when they were waiting on the side. People were getting angry, and then the cops were like trying to they weren't listening to them because they didn't understand what they were saying, and then they were like arresting them right in the line.
Oh man!
Look up the video. Look it up.
Yeah.
If you look up iPhone 6 launch New York and see the chaos that was, people were just mad because people are in line just buying them and reselling them in China, man, because there's just so much more money over there.
Don't get me wrong, but when I was in the back of house, they called it, which is basically just handling the stock of and the whole operations of the store. My first time there was the iPhone 8 launch, and there was a lot of these resellers coming in, and the inventory and the stock and the operations was kind of like my baby because I was so new to it. I was kind of like trying to control it all, and I was in charge of organizing all these new stocks of phones that came in, of these new devices that people are trying to buy. And I would remember I would get like an order for 13 iPhone 8s or whatever it was. I'm like, 13? Like, there's no way somebody's buying 13. And you go out and it's a reseller. And you see like live updates of the stock levels going up and down, and people are putting in orders for this and this. And I got to go out and tell, this little girl that she can't get her phone today because this gentleman or this person or this reseller purchased 14 of them and cleared out our stock while at the same time that you ordered your phone.
And they come back in.
and then they come back. So there used to be, we were doing a store like unofficial rule of capping it on how many iPhones they could purchase a day, and then it completely blew out of the water, and we decided like, oh no, as soon as we had more inventory of it, we took that rule away. But we had to do it because we were trying to control the amount of people that were actually receiving the devices, and not just this singular amount of group of people, of resellers that were receiving devices. We wanted all the customers to enjoy it. And then as soon as we got a plethora of stock of it, we were okay with reselling it to everybody.
Yeah. So it sucks that it had to be that way, but we had no choice. And plus, we have to keep a couple extra ones because if we open an iPhone that's failing, we have to have some ready to go just in case that happens, and that will happen.
Yeah.
There is actually a protocol that Apple does when there's a failure of a product right out of the box. The Genius Bar or Genius has to actually write up a special document so that way Apple knows about it, because then they got to figure out if there's like a huge bug, they have to know about it right away.
And that's such a great program. It's such a awesome thing that
no one else knows.
That no one else knows, right?
No one knows about that. And I'm glad they've been doing that forever since I've been there. So now let's talk about if you're not going there to get a launch, because a lot of people do go there just because they don't even know it's a launch. And Genius Bar. Now, this is the wrong day to go into an Apple store for a problem with your phone, unless it's serious.
Right. Yeah,
Because
I always said that visiting the Genius Bar, it's always the worst on the weekends and launch days.
Yeah, this is a launch weekend too, so this is not just one day. This is a whole weekend worth of it. This is the busiest weekend, except for Black Friday. This is the busiest weekend. You have to understand that going into a store this weekend is the worst idea unless your phone is powered off or your screen don't work. That's the only two reasons to go in there. Do not go in there because, I need to get my battery changed. You're going to be waiting a while. Because a lot of times the Genius Bar is not open till a certain time. Because remember, they're doing special hours opening early, and if I remember from past times, even though we have some technicians available on staff, their primary thing why they're there is to, help with the sales.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, your Genius Bar, your Apple ID issue is not the important thing that day.
Yeah, utilize Apple support, utilize, our Apple website and stuff like that. That's the most important stuff to use.
It's not the best experience either because it's going to be so crowded.
Oh, yeah.
And, they're going to have people all over those setup tables, and they're going to have, just so much running around. It's the worst day to come in and actually be a part of the experience. So I would tell you that if you don't visit the Genius Bar on this launch weekend. Wait another weekend to do it.
Or 2.
Or 3.
Just never come back.
Just don't come back.
Or, it's also, let's emphasize the idea that you can actually go to Best Buy, or you can go to these other third-party repair shops, because now they accept Apple genuine parts.
I could kiss you right now just because you said that. Absolutely. Remember, we're not the only store anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to an Apple store anymore. And most likely other stores are going to have lower stock than Apple Store. They typically do. That goes without saying. And plus, not to mention, a lot of them you have to activate them there. Normally they don't sell the unlocked ones or full price ones. So my recommendation is definitely go to the Apple Store to buy this phone. It is the best experience, and it's fun because I'll be honest, that is the day they are the best. We are the best when we are busiest. That was always one of our biggest quotes, and this is one of them. Tim, you tired? You all right there, buddy?
Sorry, long day.
He yawned, everybody, just so you know. I'm not letting him get away with that. He said it was boring. All right, and the last thing to talk about with launch is setup. They have 2 things going on that day. Typically, they have the setup where they will have somebody there not to baby you, but to help a group of people help set up their device. They're not typically going to touch your device. They're simply there to answer a question of something happening during your setup. They are not going to train you how to use your phone. We do have creatives for that who usually go over the iOS and a little bit more about the phone that's new. They will always have those workshops going on. So
yeah, my personal recommendation is set up at home. Just for that specific day. Any other day, I'd highly recommend setting up in the store.
Any other day.
But also, typically, you got to expect, if you have a large iCloud backup, you got to know I always used to let them, I said, look at the room. Look at all the employees, look at all the devices, look at all the customers. Guess what? They're all connected to the same Wi-Fi network. So the download speeds of your backup from the iCloud to your device will be dampened because of all these connected devices. So your best experience really is going to be at your own home network.
Now, I'm looking at our website for Today at Apple. On the entire weekend, there was no Today at Apple. So they are definitely dedicating the creative team to help you learn. They're the ones that are going to teach you how to use iOS 13 and use the phone or the watch. But that's what they're there. That's their primary reason, most likely, that they're there for. So that's a hidden thing. You won't see that online or anywhere. But those team members are meant to educate you on how to use their device. And again, it's not a one-on-one situation, at least that we know of. But it is definitely a way to learn how to use your device. But that setup table where you're going to be there with a bunch of people who bought their product the very first time you open it, they are there simply to make sure your phone turns on, gets through the backup feature, and gets you going. And that's it. Please do not bombard them with stupid-ass questions. Is there anything from your perspective, from a backstage or as a former admin, any advice you could give that we didn't talk about, or anything that is like something that we may not know about?
Yeah, I mean, you already kind of touched upon it. If you open up your device and it is a dead-on arrival device, don't freak out, because it's like there's almost an innate reaction that you'll have where it's like, I just paid $1,000 for this device. I just paid, some of them are $14.99 for these devices, and you get a dead-on arrival. How does that make you feel? How does it make you trust in the company? But like Will mentioned, they have your back with this. They have a set-aside stock in case something like this happens, and they will be able to help you in the greatest way possible. And no other company ever does that. Like, I'll tell you that, and I will stand to the end of the grave that no other company will ever do that. So that would be my biggest suggestion. If you do, unfortunately, get a device that does not power on and it's brand new, I know you're excited.
Don't freak out.
Don't freak out, though, because they have your back.
That happens. I hate to say it, folks. There's things that go wrong.
And it's always, I remember it was always my experiences when I was on the floor or sometimes as a Genius admin, because like Will said, there's usually not a busy Genius bar, so I would help out with the sales. When I would probe a lot with the customer on what they would want, what they would need, whatever, and we go through this whole maybe 30-minute discussion, and it's finally into that buying decision, and it's been a little frustrating for them, blah, blah, and you go through the whole thing, maybe they have had trouble logging into their account, you get through it, and then you open up the device to set it up, and it's dead on arrival. Like, just when all the things could have gone wrong, something else went wrong. It usually always happen like that. The gods just strike you like that. But that's what's great about, going to the Apple Store and visiting their store on launch day is the quality of service that you're receiving, because we are trained on handling those situations in a great and fulfilling way.
Launch day is one of the best days. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the new iPhones. Enjoy iOS 13. What we'll do is we'll be back next week to talk about some of the reviews that people are saying. I mean, there's some pre-reviews now, but I want to get custom reviews. The Verge and CNET, they're going to get their hands on it early for reviews, but I want real live people. And by the way, don't be one of those people that makes videos on dropping the iPhone.
Oh my God.
How stupid is that?
It's so
In
dumb.
fact, I know Apple is trying to figure out if someone did that, and they're going to deny their Apple Care coverage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because they intentionally broke it.
Yeah, of course.
So, all right. Well, that is our episode this week. We hope we gave you some good news. We hope we gave you some great product launch advice. It is time for Tim to go to sleep, but make sure you check us out on the Think Different Podcast website for all the articles we talked about. Make sure you go to our Facebook page where we post new articles every single day, and enjoy the next hype of Apple with this entire launch. Tim, are you excited?
I'm excited. The iPhone 11 Pro is here. Pro, you gotta get used to it, man.
Max.
Well, Pro Max, Pro, but just the idea of Pro attached to an iPhone is here.
All right. Well, I'm the Pro. He's the man that goes on vacation. He's going to bed. I'm going to enjoy my week. Thank you all for coming and joining us on the journey of the Think Different podcast. Peace out.
No.
Yeah, peace out. Peace out.